So I went to connect the connecting rods to the pistons. Something really funny is happening. So, first of all, 4 out of 6 of the pistons from the OHV engine, they're junk, garbage, big holes on them, not reusable. So I decided to give a try at buying some other pistons, which the guy also had for sale, but he didn't have a closed set, like in a box, a closed full set of pistons. So he just had them individually lying around. So we actually found 6 pistons that were designed for the 195.6 or the 196 Rambler American engine. And so I got 6 of them, which was all that he had. The other ones in standard, the other ones he had maybe I think 3 or 4 more. One was 30, 0.03. The other one was 20. The other one was like 60, something like that. So, but I ended up getting 4 of these pistons, and upon inspection, they all look the same. They're definitely the same bore, same size. So I just pretty much looked at that. Their designs are slightly different, but I didn't really care. I was thinking of just using these 4 of them, these 4 pistons. So I got 4 pistons that were exactly like this one, and then I got 2 that are like this one. They're slightly different on the outside, and that got me a little bit worried. And the design is also different, as you can see. This one's just round. This one's got square bevel on it. This one's more rounded at the top. This one's got sharper lines, so they're not smooth. So that kind of worried me a little bit. Interesting thing is, underneath, this one has squirt holes for the piston pins. This one doesn't. So eventually it was realized that you don't need these holes here. Piston gets more than enough lubrication without them. So they were done away with. Same for the rod, the squirt holes on the rod bearings. These ones, they're not necessary. So that was one thing. But so today, when I went to put in the connecting rods on the pistons, I got the connecting rod. As you can see, it's too wide for these pistons. However, they do fit the 2 slightly odd pistons that I got, as you can see. So I sat on the computer, did some research on this part number here. Let's wait till the camera decides to zoom in. Come on, man. These things are supposed to be really high end. God damn. Right there. 3174 47 to 317 44 72. So I typed that part number in for the connecting rod, and surprisingly, but not surprisingly, it comes up as belonging to the 232 engine. That was the next engine that was made by American Motors, and it's very much more common than the 196 that I have. You have lots of parts for it on Rock Auto. They're still quite common, apparently. So all sources lead me to believe that all these connecting rods were put in by someone at an at a later date. They took it from another engine, another AMC engine, the 232. I sort of suspected that there would be something like this because the rod bearings, they match. They're the same diameter, the same shape, and they are interchangeable. They're slightly more narrow from the 232, but I actually got them because they only cost about $15 for the whole set. So, and I checked the numbers, and like I said, they're just slightly more narrow. So if the crankshaft diameter matches, they left the same on both engines, I wouldn't, and I'm not surprised that the connecting rods are actually exactly the same, with a slight difference of being wider at the top, and they also have got this notch. See, the other ones are perfectly, that one was perfectly round, and this one, it's got that notch on top, and it's wider. So it is really quite something, but the length of them, they're actually exactly the same as well. I'll show you. I just get a 5/8 spark plug socket that I have here, run it through both of their pins. You can see they're exactly the same. They match up perfectly. I bet you that the crankshaft is also the same. So even the slots for the rod bearings are the same size. So this was really quite something. Now the good news is I can't use the narrow pistons on the wide connecting rods, but I can use a wide piston on a narrower connecting rod. Although I would sort of prefer to keep these connecting rods because I feel that them being wider, they're stronger. They're for a bigger engine. So I would like to keep these, but it turns out it looks like I won't be able to keep them. Fortunately for me, I've got a whole set of these original, the proper connecting rods for the 195.6, and I got this whole set from eBay. So I actually got two sets of these connecting rods, and the numbers on these ones are 31, 45, 68. So 314, 5608. So I'll be able to just use these ones. I originally got the whole set because I was just gonna replace one of them that was bent on the flathead, and it looks like we started in one direction and ended up going with a whole new engine in another direction. So, but yeah, that's the part number for that. I'm not sure what these little numbers mean down there. This one is a 16. On the other side, it's 753. So the numbers on the back, they all match on the set, and they're different on the set for the flathead. But the long numbers is what's actually the identification number. They're the same for both sets. So the other set that was on the flathead on the Rambler, the original engine that was in my car, it's also got this number here, the long number, 314, 5608. But these numbers here, they're different within the set, which I'll show you here in just a second. And these numbers, this number on the back on the other side, they're the same for the set. So this whole set that I got from eBay, they're all 75.3, and the other set that was on the Rambler's got a different number, but the small number, they're different within the set. I wonder if that's weight. I don't know. So for example, this set here, This one is a 5. This one is a 6. This one is also a 6. This one is a 6. This other one is a 6 as well. And this one is a 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4 6s, and 1 7, and 1 5. Even looks like somebody slightly damaged. Made some nicks here on this connecting rod. So I just thought this was really, really interesting that they used pretty much the same. They just pardon me. It just changed the engine slightly, like especially AMC. They were a quite honest company, in my opinion, especially after the guy that was the president, George Romney or something like that. He was a presidential candidate, and he was a governor for a few years as well. And while everybody else was making huge cars, big V8 motors, he was making more economy cars and focused on economy and reliability. So they kept the same engine for over a decade. And then the next engine was just slightly changed. As you can see, they just changed the rod bearing, the rods a little bit, and probably the pistons are the same. We'll get to that in a second too. And so not major changes, right? So okay, so the deal with the pistons is, I was thinking that I'd see this piston here. This one actually, it's got a wide space here, and it'll accept the wider connecting rods from the 232. But on the front here it says 1964, 196, OHV, OHVC. So probably OHV cast iron, because they had a very rare aluminum version of the engine, which was, from all that I know, garbage. They messed up there. On the back here it's got another number, and on the inside here's the piston number, 317-5220. So I looked this number up, and I was thinking that it would come from a 232, since it fits the 232 connecting rods. But astonishingly, it's not. It's actually for the 196 or the 195.6 OHV engine. So things are looking kind of interesting, to be honest. I don't know the difference between. I've seen one 232. I've seen one of those engines, and they're longer. It's called a torque command as well, and it's an overhead valve engine. But I haven't seen how different the bolt housing is. So there's a slight chance that the engine I'm actually working in is a 232, but unless there's a very slim chance of that, because the crankshaft matches and the matches the flathead engine, and the bolt pattern for the bell housing is also the same for the flathead. It looks almost exactly like the flathead. It looks exactly what's in the motor. So there's no way it can be a 232. It looks. I've seen the picture of the engine on the manual, and it's the same. So it seems to me that there are two different versions of pistons for the OHV. And by the way, I know these are OHV pistons for sure, because they've got for the flathead, they're just perfectly flat here. Flat pistons for a flat head. And these pistons, you can see they've got a slot on them. They've got a big chunk of offset aluminum here. They're not flat. So I know they're for an OHV engine, but I checked these pistons. Unfortunately, they don't have any markings or part numbers on them, fortunately. But the sizes are the same, so everything is the same. The piston rod diameters, they're the same. The piston lengths are the same. Everything is exactly the same, except for the width at the top. Worst case scenario, we could actually machine this off, but since I have a whole new set of these ones, I'm just probably going to use these ones. But I would like to use these ones, so I'm going to wait a bit more, see if I can find, maybe the guy has the pistons for this is for the 232, and maybe these are maybe they're compatible. We're gonna have to maybe find some more of these pistons here, whatever they are. Find some more of these. So I think that's pretty much it. So for anybody out there that's rebuilding either a 232 or a 196, looks like you can interchange the connecting rods from both engines. Hopefully that's useful for somebody out there. Okay, so for the, one more thing. So I guess I'll show you, I'll leave the rod bearings for another video. Like I said, but I'll just summarize it here really quickly. They're exactly the same, they're just narrower. So, but the width of the connection rods is exactly the same. And as we just discussed, they are exactly the same in all aspects. At least down here. So that's the only reasonable conclusion, is that there's no problem using narrower bearings for some reason. I actually, with that pipe bearing that I made some time ago, I actually made it wider, which I don't really think it matters that much, but I've heard people saying that narrower bearings reduce friction. That makes sense, but it also exerts more load on them. But I don't think that should be a problem, because as you can see, if they decide to switch to that, it couldn't have been a bad move. And those 232 engines they've got quite the reputation for being really reliable, same as the 196, but it's more rare. Alright, so by the way, the reason I know this is, the reason I'm pretty sure that this is for 232 is because I typed this part number in on Google, and the first thing that came up was an eBay listing, and I think the biggest source of parts, of knowledge for parts, is on eBay. And sure enough, the part number was there listed, and the picture, there was an exact the picture was exactly the same as this connecting rod, and there the guy said it was for 1964 to 1966 AMC 232 or 3.8 liter engine. And as you can see, it's also got these slots over here, these notches here. As soon as the camera decides to, so there's notches, and as you can see, for the 196, it's just round, no notches. So the connecting rods, what we can also establish is that the connecting rods for the flathead and for the overhead valve version of the 196, they're exactly the same. Even the part numbers are the same, and they don't have the notches. But they interchange, both the engines interchange with the 232 with some slight, or well, it could be major modifications, either finding the pistons or machining the rods themselves. I've got no idea which pistons are easy to find. I'm still not at that part yet, and I don't think these pistons are from the 232. But I don't know why they'd make two different versions of pistons for the same engine. So it could be that these pistons, either one of them, is for the aluminum overhead valve engine. but I don't know. I've got no idea. But at least we know that, you know, we've got 3 engines: the OHV, the flathead for the 196, flathead and the 196 OHV, and the 232 that we can play around with. So hopefully that's helpful to somebody. And like I said, everything's the same. The piston pins are exactly the same width, all that. Both pistons are exactly the same also. So this one doesn't have oil on it, so I'm not going to force it in too much. But there you go. Same for that one too. As you can see. And one difference that I noticed about them as well is on the inside, they've got the half snap ring on each side on the wide version of the piston. I don't know if they're all like that. I honestly have got no I don't have a solution for this yet. This one doesn't. I showed that on the previous video too. Alright, that was long and boring talk, but not for somebody that's looking for these things.